All right, your Detroit Lions walked into Lambeau Field to start their season with a statement. And, well, instead, maybe they left with more questions than answers in this one. And, look, I know that a lot went on that probably shouldn't have. But is there maybe now even a quiet or even dangerous trend emerging right now? And that could be a defensive back injury epidemic that could derail this team before October. Let's get into it.
Pressure by Hutchinson, he goes down
All right, do us a quick favor and tap that subscribe button today on your way out, and quickly like this video today and send us a comment about how you feel the Detroit Lions played this weekend, especially talking about the defensive backs in this video. What is your number one concern right now based on what you saw? DJ Reed didn't have a great game. We're gonna dig into it a little bit. We're going to talk about the injuries and kind of what's on the horizon, or what I think is potentially happening here and where this may play out. But quite simply, man, your Detroit Lions entered week one, headed out to Green Bay. They wanted to defend their NFC North crown, right? Erase that bitter vinegar taste and memory of, well, last season's injury-driven playoff run that ended in collapse. Yeah, not a great game, right, at home. This time, expectations are soaring for Detroit Lions fans prior to week one, thanks to an offseason of investments into the secondary, most notably the acquisition of DJ Reed and the anticipated leap of the second-year corner in Terrion ARNOLD, and then Ennis Rakestraw. Well, no, we'll come back to that. Flanked by some versatile, players in the safety room, Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch. But then, unfortunately, it did not take long for the ghosts of 2024 to resurface. And that was injuries, man. To start this season off, the Lions lost their second round corner from the 2024 NFL draft, Ennis Rakestraw. Promising, yes. He's supposed to be somebody that was supposed to take a big leap this season, and he was lost for the entire season early because of a shoulder injury. He underwent shoulder surgery in early August. Well, he's gone. He's off the list. Well, the Detroit Lions didn't waste any time. Obviously, in this draft, they wanted to, shore up, bring in some guys in the later rounds, but shore up a position of the future. And so they brought in Dan Jackson out of Georgia, 7th-round pick, despite being the 230th pick overall. Look, this guy was viewed as a potential sleeper after earning the third-team All-SEC's honors in the first season as a full-time starter in Georgia in 2024. That's no easy feat, right? It's a big-time school. That's a big-time division in college or conference, and he played safety. He was also lost for the season early in camp, leg injury. So now we're down 2. Well, then the Lions look to, a new secondary, right? Brand new secondary this year. A couple of pieces that held over from last season. Tested early in this matchup against the Packers. Quarterback Jordan Love capitalized on the Detroit Lions' miscommunications and mismatches, and then finished only needing 188 yards to do some damage in this game and throwing 2 touchdowns. Enough to win. Now, the Detroit Lions did narrow the gap a little bit in that first half, 10-3. Love hit Romeo Dobbs for a 48-yard strike up the seam, and then it was a quick 17-yard touchdown catch by Jaden Reed. Both chunk plays, though, responsible of Terrion ARNOLD. And both, coming at really the expense of Terrion ARNOLD. I think that there was a miscommunication. I didn't see Kirby Joseph back there anywhere. I did see DJ Reed running 45 yards from the opposite direction to catch up to the play. And you could tell, if Terrion wasn't even hanging with the guy, how did DJ Reed catch up to him? You knew right then and there something wasn't right, but we didn't know what wasn't right. And so it was kind of at that midway point there of the second quarter the game started to tip decisively. Lions secondary was sputtering. Defensive backfield was now thrown into chaos. Why? Well, because Terrion Arnold, who was expected again to take that big leap here in year 2, was already nursing a groin tweak. And like I said, maybe it wasn't quite noticed right away, and we didn't see any major plays, but it was shortly after that 2 plays, 65-yard drive ending in a Jaden Reed touchdown that Arnold was then forced out of the game after punt return duties you could say, maybe it looks like he was okay, but then again, we don't know what he's feeling, right? And he's probably playing through a little bit of pain. And I'll get to what he reported after the game, but let's go to this real quick here. Let's take a look at the screen. And this is Dr. Jimmy Liao. He said, here's Terrion Arnold. This was the final play when he looks perfectly fine sprinting down the field in punt return duties. Suggests it was, nothing too serious. I don't know that I agree. I mean, this play looks fine, but I don't know. I don't know that I agree. Like, it's not serious. It may not be serious, like several weeks serious, but any sort of a groin injury, whether it's a small labrum tear or no tear, maybe it's some, sort of strain, like that's going to hamper you, right? If you can't flip your hips and run, and I mean, here it looks like he's trying to stay with number 16 there. And I mean, Terrion Arnold runs sub 4.3, sub 4.35. He's fast. But as Jimmy Lau says, this is the last play that Terrion looked okay. Okay. Here's what Terrion said after the game. He said, earlier in the game, I was kind of coming out of my break and I kind of bothered it a little bit. And then it was just something I kept trying to play through. So we don't know at what point, did this go down. Early in the game, I was kind of coming out of my break and I kind of bothered it a little bit. So he must have injured this early in the game. Whether he didn't stretch right or not, I don't know. Then he goes on to say, and then like that post ball, the one that we just saw or we will see at some point where they're going downfield, Romeo Dobbs, that big catch. He says, and then like that post ball, I wasn't able to open up. I'm making that play. Talking to the trainers, they said it was something we feel like we caught before it could get any worse. That's the whole key to this thing, is that they caught it before it got any worse. Now, he did go under an MRI today. Initial reports are saying by Jeremy Fowler that cornerback Terrion Arnold's groin injury is not considered serious per a source. I thought he was supposed to say sources. But then, here's the second part to this. Daniel Thomas, we just got him a week ago. Broke a bone in his hand. He's supposed to get a cast and try to play through it this weekend. Again, per a source. I thought it was supposed to be sources. I want to make sure we're clear the next time I use source that it's okay. Just making that clear. Sorry. Okay, so safety. Thomas Harper, just acquired, like I said, a little over a week ago, suffered a broken bone in his hand. Now the tone in the secondary in this game is clearly shifting to emergency mode. You have 2 guys that have gone out early. The damage was done, right? The offense of the Detroit Lions could not score. They couldn't get anything going. And then the defense is already letting up 17 points at this time in the game. Lions are down 17-3. Okay, so that's the story, right? 2 injuries, 2 DBs. That's the story up to this point. Now, coming into the game, the Lions practice squad only holds one spot for a DB. And that is another corner, Eric Hallett, who many of us thought maybe, just maybe, he was going to make the 53. He played well at some points, maybe not in others. He's a practice squad guy. That's the only corner that we have right now for depth. That's it. Coming into the game, right? Avonte Maddox. He logged 10 snaps this entire contest in special teams. Not one play on defense. Not one. at least reported by PFF. Brian Branch. He was the highest ranked DB for the Detroit Lions. I'm not surprised. Brian's a dog. 85 overall grade, 91 in coverage, targeted 2 times with 2 receptions against. He only allowed 6 yards. 6 yards and 79.2 passer rating against. So obviously he played well, right? He played well. And then there was Amik Robertson. Second highest DB ranked and 5th overall for the defense at 70.7 and a 69 in coverage. The funny thing is he gets a low coverage grade, but he wasn't targeted one time. Not one time in the game. And posted 11 snaps in the slot and 14 at corner. How do you not get targeted and you get a 69 grade? Like, shouldn't that be an automatic 100 unless, something bad happens? That's the weird thing about PFF. I'll never understand. Then there's Kirby Joseph. 8th best player per PFF for the Detroit Lions against the Packers was a 67.5 overall and a 64.2 in coverage without being targeted in the entire game. So 2 guys, Amik and Kirby, according to PFF, not targeted this entire game, and Brian Branch only targeted twice. 3 of our DBs, 2 targets? Where were all the targets going? Right? Rock Ya-Sin and DJ Reed finished at the bottom of the list. Also committing a penalty for Rock Ya-Sin that wiped away a pick 6 by Brian Branch, which surely would have turned the tide a little bit for the Lions, right? Would have gained a little momentum. Maybe that momentum would have been enough for the Lions to kind of get a little bit of a boost going, get back into that game a little bit. But we're talking about the targets. DJ Reed paid him a good amount of money. Was one of the better quarterbacks in the league for the last 4 seasons. 38 overall PFF grade. 38 and a 30.5 in coverage. That is absolutely pathetic. Targeted 5 times, 4 receptions against, 11.8 yards per catch, 12 yards of yak, allowed 105.8 passer rating against. This was a bad game by DJ Reed. Rock Ya-Sin, also not targeted. He had a 33.4 overall and a 60 in coverage. Clearly, Terrion Arnold is getting targeted a little bit. So what are the Lions going to do? Chicago Bears are going to be here in a week, not even. Right? We've got to get prepared. The thing about Harper, he was a 5th round pick by the Jacksonville Jaguars in 2020. And he's been a steady presence, right? I mean, throughout 5 years of his career, appeared in 15 games in each of the last 4 seasons. He suited up, for at least 10 contests as a rookie. In the final roster cuts, the Lions chose to run light at safety, and that's kind of an issue. But at the same time, I think that we're a little light at corner now too. So depth options, such as Eric Hallett, Lauren Strickland, Ian Kennelly, all waived or cut. We only were left with Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph as our true number 1, number 2, which, clearly they're the best in the league. One of them played like that on Sunday. And then you have Avonte Maddox and Rock Ya-Sin. That's it. Thomas, with this broken bone that apparently he suffered on the opening defensive stand against Green Bay. Look, he's scheduled for additional testing, and clearly this is a problem. It's hard to play with a club, right? We know that. But what has been rumored is that he might be putting on some sort of a cast or some sort of a club and is going to try to suit up this week. That's not what we need against the Bears. I'm sorry. It's not. You might be able to go out there and play a little bit of special teams or something, but no, let's not put him on the field, man. Like, that's not the answer. So I'm going to go back to where I started with this. Is there already a injury epidemic, right, that is a dangerous trend that is already starting in Detroit? This damn injury bug is just not going away. It's just not going away. We've already lost multiple guys due to injury before the season even started in the DB room, and now two more guys on Sunday. I'm expecting Brad is probably shopping right now, and he's probably looking for something. I wouldn't even mind it if he goes out and makes a big blockbuster trade to try to bring somebody in here. You know, this is a position that cannot go wrong this year. But the fact that they played this way and the injuries that were suffered, now it explains a little bit more as to why the defensive front was having so much trouble too. Jordan Love didn't need to hold the ball. That ball was coming out hot and quick, right? Like dominoes. And he was delivering that football as quickly as he needed. So, injury epidemic in Detroit. Is it going to derail our season before October? I hope not. And I hope Brad Holmes makes sure that he does something about it very quickly. But that's your injury update. And that's also, I guess, a little bit of your grades update for your Detroit Lions.
Pressured by action to be